Hello, this is Sarah Callie Cox in A Day to Be Me. We have co-host
Alexander Hodge.
and editor.
Kevin Gallinger.
Okay, today we are going to be talking about social influence and social ecosystems.
So, a social ecosystem is something that we get caught up in as part of our interests, hobbies, and connections with people and events that grip us. Like, for example, some people have a sports team that they love, or they're into football, fantasy football or otherwise, and that's an ecosystem that people can get caught up in. The sports team. Who's playing against who? Like, so for example, my father, he was always a soccer. He loved soccer. He loved the game of English football. Premier League, his favorite team was Manchester United.
Hmm.
So that was an ecosystem that he was caught up in, where he's always been a Manchester United fan. And whenever I guess his team would lose, literally like his um, thought process and literally physically his mentality would change. Like if his team lost, well, literally there's like a drop in serotonin and a drop in and then what happens is like, oh, damn it, like they lost. And then it depends on what social ecosystem you're caught up in. I'm caught up in the social ecosystem of aviation. I've been an aviation enthusiast since I was 8 years old. So anything to do with an aviation reference, I'm into. I'll talk to you all day about airplanes. So, however, with people with the disability, either mental or physical disability, or like autism is a big one, or Asperger's, is that we can't always recognize who's who and who's in our ecosystem and who's not. Once somebody is outside of the ecosystem, it's not really relevant to them. They don't care. So, say if I was to talk to somebody about aviation that
Or
has nothing,
technology.
nothing has right or has nothing to do with aviation, they're not interested. That's not their ecosystem. I'd pretty much be talking up a brick wall. Like I get ignored. I it wouldn't quite click. Versus say if I talk to a community that's into aviation, I talk to them. Oh, connection right away. That's an ecosystem that I thrive in. But that might not
Or
be
a
any.
fandom.
Exactly.
Right. So, social influence has its role in the appearance of success in the way as we as a society judge each other. Within that ecosystem is social influence. The groups outside these subjects of knowledge see something completely different than those inside the social ecosystem because society has trained us to see things the way they do and to see things the way that they do. Um, the roles of social ecosystems, which could include jobs like writing, teaching, factory work. There's schools, which could be mathematics, reading, writing, even bullying could be its own form
Mhm.
of social ecosystem.
Yeah.
Sports could include like swimming, basketball, soccer, surfing, hobbies, gaming, wood burning, sculpting, arts and crafts, and disabilities like autism spectrum, cerebral palsy, blindness, deafness, brain damage, and there's the list goes on and on.
Yeah. It's forever.
And I want to point out something about like jobs in school and a little bit of bullying and a little bit of like teasing here and there when it comes to social ecosystems. There's a little bit of that as a test to see where we're at. So, for example, in like a grubby work environment, there's always a sense of humor among those guys. There's always an element of teasing that goes on. Um, I work at a hardware store and outside in the lot as well. I've been called by many names. I've been called, and majority of them were positive. Now, if anyone follows Jordan Peterson, would know the story of Lunch Bucket. There's this kid who was nicknamed Lunch Bucket, but he got all peevish and he got all irritated by it. Well, as soon as you get irritated in the workforce by calling a simple nickname, well, that's a test to see where you're at. You're not going to last very long. However, like if you take it as a joke and this kid packed his lunch into a lunch box that looked like his mom had packed it. So he gets called lunch bucket. Well, all he had to say to thrive in that ecosystem was, well, I didn't want to hurt my mom's feelings. Yeah, yeah, she packed it, whatever. And then the guys would laugh, and then it would carry on. So I got called by many names. As far as that, like that teasing, harassing slash bullying is part of a social ecosystem. You can either thrive in it, take it, absorb it, and just
Or
maybe
drown in it.
or drown in it, yeah, or not have a witty comeback, or not have be prepared socially to thrive in that ecosystem.
Okay. The effects of social influence. Social influence has its role in the appearance of success and the way we as a society judge each other. Within that social ecosystem is social influence. The groups outside of these subjects of knowledge see something completely different than those inside the social ecosystem because society has trained us to see things the way they do.
So, Callie, like, have you ever, I guess, like, I've run into this where I'd be talking to someone about aviation, right?
Uh huh.
And,
Yeah.
or I'd be trying to, like, make a joke about something, but it hits a wall, like, they don't get it or
It
something. Where
doesn't click
you ever
with
get a
them.
situation like that, that it becomes awkward, you have to explain what you're talking about, and it's like you're talking you're talking up the wrong tree. Or even worse, like I've had a situation where a guy was like, it's almost like a 5-year-old who's trying to help, but he's not really helping. Doesn't quite have the that's when you know that somebody's outside of your social ecosystem. Um, and I think high school, this is the thing these days with adults who have already been there, done that. They've already done high school. In fact, they've let a lot of what their high school life was like burn off. So high school, it's not life. There are other ecosystems that we can influence in, like Callie, like you, for example, you have an influence in the disabilities and like coaching and your blog, for example, you have an influence in the social ecosystem of autism, Asperger's, and mental and physical disabilities. Um, as do I, having
And
being
I've
diagnosed.
been around a lot of them too, and raised some.
You raised them as well.
Yeah, I have um
Yeah.
one with Down syndrome. Yeah, I know
You
what it's like to be around that type of stuff.
so you use that knowledge. You have an insight as to what it's like, and you probably helped and influenced others up to speed on how to get better and how to make better
Yeah,
versions.
like my
So
dad. He
yeah,
always need to be reminded of things, so I kept trying to keep jogging his memory.
and yeah, so and I have some influence in that as well. Having I've been diagnosed with some stuff, and like I'm on the autism, Asperger's spectrum, but
Yeah,
gotten to the point now where I've influenced myself and looked at people that are not autistic and Asperger's, and like I see people like retired military guys, like I want to be a tough working class citizen, tough guy. I want to be the top of the line
top
worker. I want to be
dog.
like that guy. I want to be like that guy. The beard, he's got the so that's where social influence comes in, and for people to thrive in ecosystems that probably they haven't even heard of before, or
The
I've never heard of.
Navy.
Yeah, like the gym. The gym is an ecosystem.
Yeah, boxing.
Oh yeah, jujitsu,
Oh yeah, karate.
or even better, what we're doing. Podcasting has an ecosystem.
Yeah,
There are there are other
I,
podcasters out there that are doing better than us. I've been influenced by listening to podcasters like Michaela Peterson, Jocko Willink, and they've influenced us to start and get into the ecosystem of podcasting.
yeah, we're getting the hang of it. We're
Absolutely.
learning to embrace our amateur um podcasting.
We're really hoping that this hooks on to something. We're gonna get discovered for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, um, so one of the things about social influence and social ecosystems that I wanted to talk about mainly is like for those in high school too. I mean, there's a lot of bullying, there's a lot of things like grades, stuff like that, of different classes, things you're good at, things you're bad at. I want to let those high schoolers know, and even middle schoolers, elementary, if they're having problems,
Yeah.
that school is not the only thing to life.
Yep.
School is a big part of life, but it's not the only thing.
Yeah.
It's not
Just
the
get your
only
work done
life.
and
It's
get
4
out of there.
of life. It is 4 years of high school out of a chunk out of your life. However, it definitely does lay the groundwork for your life. So the things that we do now,
Yes.
um,
Knowledge is power.
have and the things that I think kids, especially when they're young, don't see it this way, where they can't connect what they do then to how they're going to end up later in life.
And
So
then when they learn it, it's too
yeah,
late.
sometimes, and there are some
Yeah.
mistakes that can't be recovered. However, high school is not the only ecosystem to get caught up in. Like sometimes people with childhood that are terrible in high school will turn out to be rock stars in their adulthood. And
Yeah.
some who knows,
Amazing how the brain
jock on
works.
some jock on the football field, he was in his prime in high school, but maybe something may have happened in his adult life where it's just not as, where he stagnates, and or he comes out of that and makes the best versions of himself there too.
I want
Yeah.
to make a shout out to my favorite band, My Chemical Romance. You see, Gerard Way, when he was inside high school, he used to get bullied. People would tease him and make fun of him for his singing in his play, Peter Pan, and now look at him. He is this amazing singer that has helped so many people cope with stressors of daily life, and it's a big deal. Like, just because you get bullied or teased in high school doesn't mean you can't grow to better things and really make something out of yourself.
Yeah.
So Gerard
Music's
Way
words are
was so
inspiring.
there was a sword in the forge. He was being tested. So but however, life hooked him up by all this bullying and the trash, and it hooked him up to really have an insight as to help millions of people overcoming depression through through his artwork, and his artwork is really and through that insight, from being bullied, and it's laid the groundwork for
Yeah, I've been bullied
it's
too.
up. It's hooked him up to see that and see how he can help millions of people with his artwork and his work. So yeah,
Artwork is amazing, especially digital art too.
Okay, so that's all I have. Is there anything that you guys would like to talk about?
well, I'm just curious, like,
Yeah.
so what ecosystems, like, so Callie, what ecosystems do you find yourself to be fucking thriving in? You're kicking ass, where you're thriving in an ecosystem that you're interested in.
Podcasting is a big one. Writing, reading, technology is another huge one, and advocacy. I'm a very huge advocate for especially people with disabilities and people who are surviving from depression, anxiety, any type of disability. I'm a huge advocate, and I'm thriving in all of those areas.
You're thriving because of the passion.
Yes.
Is
Yeah,
something
I enjoy that passion too.
because of things that you went through and your insight, as if kind of just like Gerard Wade is doing.
Me, I'm a metalhead hard rocker,
Oh,
disturbed.
hell yeah.
Get down with the sickness. Wow, wow.
Okay, so you're a metal. That's there's an ecosystem we get caught up in.
Yeah,
Shinedown,
Motley Crew.
definitely Shinedown is one of my
Oh, I love Shinedown too.
Sound of
yeah,
Madness.
Sound of Madness. Oh, I work out to that one. You see my cinder block. In fact, I might do a cinder block one tomorrow. Tomorrow's Mobility Monday.
Oh,
So Kevin, what about you? You seem to have a passion in ecosystems that you're thriving as well.
Yeah, I'm really good at technology. Sometimes I'm really good at giving advice. It just depends on what the subject is.
Hmm.
My brain's pretty smart for having brain damage. I'm surprised I don't have a lot of PSD from it, but yeah,
Isn't that something?
it's
The brain is amazing. Like it adapts in areas where one part of it's damaged. However, like
yeah,
it
one
will
shut
fine.
down, the other one starts a new section
Yeah,
and develops in a different area.
and the
another
way that
thing about the
it
brain,
allowed you
if
to.
one thing doesn't work, another thing gets bigger and better. And
Yeah,
if you can't see, then your hearing gets better and stuff like that.
Hmm?
yeah. It's amazing how a brain works to recover from
And think the
that.
body is just as adaptable. Like when it comes
Yeah,
to
the body
exercise,
is too.
putting your body under stress, your body adapts to that stress and can lift heavier loads.
Yeah, the
Um,
adrenaline lust of
yeah,
deadlifts and that.
some of the ecosystems that I'm really into. I'm passionate about aviation. In fact, I made a joke. I think I have a joke for you guys that you can use next time somebody calls you retarded. Here's something you could say. Again, aviation enthusiast, right? If someone were to call me retarded, I'll just say, I don't fly for Airbus.
Yeah,
Okay, so let me
I don't
explain.
like that
Oh,
word either.
right. But let me explain the reasoning why I say I don't fly for Airbus. It's really funny. I think only Airbus pilots and aviation enthusiasts get this right away. But here's the thing: when the Airbus is flying in for a landing, there's a in the cockpit there's a readout, and it will say 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. So you know how high the plane is up
Altitude.
to, right? Well, in an Airbus cockpit, only Airbus. Yeah, okay,
Hmm.
only Airbus. The cockpit will actually read out, it'll instruct the pilots and it will say between 20 feet and 10 feet, it'll say retard, retard. But what it's saying is retard to thrust, meaning retard to thrust to idle.
Yeah, the way the
So
audio
you
screws
can
with your
imagine how many
hearing.
jokes are going around the aviation community about Airbus pilots.
Yeah,
I
that's
get it.
hilarious.
So
I don't think you ever heard of the game Ace Combat, have you?
I have, yep, I've heard of that one.
I
I'm
got
not
the
a video game, but I have
I
heard of
used to play that a lot. I recently got the new one on Steam with all of its DLC. I love those simulation games doing dog fights in the air, just
it.
like in Battlefield.
DCS or what is it called? DSC World or something like that. I'm bombing the pronunciation of the game, but it's another Ace aerial combat game.
Yeah,
But that little witty comment about Airbus is like,
Microsoft Flight
and
Simulator 2 to get
only a
real
select
flight
few people,
simulation.
right? Only a select few people are gonna get that reference. Where it's when someone calls
Yeah,
me, when someone calls me retarded, I'll just say, I don't fly for Airbus. Only a select few people will get that.
yeah.
Because that's an
The
ecosystem
bus
that
don't
I'm
fly for that,
into.
y'all.
Yeah. Another influence that I'm into, again, I'm passionate, just like Callie is, when it comes to helping people out, when it comes to
Me too. I'm very passionate.
people with disabilities. Like, I've always been through Logan Center and Best Buddies programs, and I've always volunteered before I started working, I volunteered for organizations like that to help not only like the people who have the disability, but also the people that are teaching, the teachers and aides and stuff, since I have an insight into what it's like to have a disability. That's been my social influence in
So
ecosystem.
me, I have thousands
Yeah.
because my brain my intestines wrapped around my neck when I was born, and I technically should be dead or in a wheelchair at
So,
most.
all right. So I also want to bring this up, the inverse of this. So, what ecosystems do you find? So, Callie, like, what ecosystems are you not thriving in? Like, what's not working? You
Yeah,
know?
Math.
me
Okay.
too. I'm
Ah,
ter-
no, not math.
I'm okay with graphs, but yeah.
yeah,
You give me
blueprints.
a math uh, equation to solve that's going to be turned into a graph. I just think you're speaking Greek. I have no
So,
Or algebra.
to
so
do
you're not going to
That's
be able
still
to you're not going to be
challenging.
able to fit into very well with, say, scientists that are working at the Hadron Collider.
Or a nuclear reactor in
Not your ecosystem.
science or computer science.
uh, so I mean, so what else? I mean, there's other ecosystems that we don't thrive in. It's almost like throwing a polar bear into the desert. He's gonna die.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah,
what inverse of that is also we got to ask ourselves, what ecosystems are we really not thriving in? What are we not thriving in? And having to step outside of the ecosystem and not care about it, we can dispense with it.
because you never know, you might like it.
True, but sometimes if you try to
You
force
may
it,
not.
if you try to force it into it too much, where it's
Yeah,
not part of the ecosystem, then that could tear you apart.
yeah,
Kevin,
it
what
can.
about, what about you? So, what ecosystems have you found that you're not thriving in? Like, this isn't for you, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot for me. I'm all over the place when it comes to that. I
Okay.
have way too
Reading and
many.
writing might be something Kev struggles in.
Yeah,
I got that from my dad. His mind was all over the place due to that. I think that's part of the autism too, but I really don't know about it.
gotcha. For me, one of the ecosystems that I found to have died in was college. I am not a disciplined studier. I'm not. It's not part of my ecosystem. I have tried, and I've attempted to force it, and what that has done to me, it's just not an ecosystem that I'm set up to thrive in. So again, when they say college is not for everyone, I hate that term, but it's
I've
true.
never even been in college.
Right, but it's true though. It's not for everyone. So I could think when more than
Parties, drinking, wasting all your college funds on partying instead of putting it to correct use.
right, 1 second, Kevin.
Oh,
So
sorry.
that's good. So one of the ecosystems, I'm not a disciplined studier, and I've tried to force it, I guess you could say, into studying, but it's not happening. There's something about that. It's almost as if like I'm predisposed not to be in that type of ecosystem. Another one is when it comes to small children, um, working with. Now, I guess to an extent, I'm okay in that ecosystem. But when it comes to, say, working as like a staff for looking after people who are like young adults, I can't work at like a residential place looking after somebody. I can't. That's not part of my ecosystem that I could thrive in because it would hurt. It hurts me to see because this could have been me. This could have been me. I could have wound up as having to be looked after. So that's not an ecosystem that I thrive in. So college and I guess looking after people is not part of my ecosystem. However, working class environment, love it. That's my ecosystem. I'm rocking and rolling when it comes to being a working class citizen. Um, and owning a house, like it's stuff, home ownership, finance. I could talk to you about how to handle money, like finances. That turns out to be an ecosystem of mine that I'm getting caught up in. That I'm coming to get
Kinda too
uh,
with me.
interest. I'm actually finding an interest in it on how to manage money and how to manage finance and the
Yeah,
financial industry.
my mom was teaching me about that.
So that's an ecosystem that I'm starting to find that myself actually thriving in. So yeah. Okay.
Okay, well,
Yep.
love yourself, be yourself, take care of yourself. This is a day to be me. Again, I'm Sarah Cox with the co-host
Alexander Hodge.
and editor.
Kevin Gallinger.
Okay,
Take care,
thank you
everybody.
for joining.
Yep.
Bye.
So
Okay.